What's going on with y'all? It's Eastside JP. We back at y'all with another episode of the Shoebox Money Podcast. Today we got one of my good friends on here. Y'all gonna get to see a whole different side of what hustling can do for you, different ways that you can hustle. You just gonna get a different perspective of how things could work. He wear many hats. Real estate investor, business owner, medical exec. Without further ado, it's my good partner, DJ.
Appreciate you having me on, bro.
Okay.
Always love when we get together, man.
Yeah, man, we always make something good happen when we get together. So I ain't gonna lie, I kind of want to just jump right into it with you.
All right, let's do it.
Man, tell me about like your childhood. Like, how was your upbringing? Like, what sparked you? At what age did you realize, like, you know, I want to get money. I want to be great because, you know, and a lot of people ask, you know, great.
Man, so I think for me, it started at a young age because I remember I got my first job at 14, like the day of my birthday. I got 2 jobs on the day I turned 14. And I remember my motivation for that was really my pops, man. So I grew up, you know, with mom and dad. And my dad, I always saw him working really hard. So my dad, he was one of the managers of Target and ran Target stores for really his whole career. He's retired now. But one of the things he always instilled in me, man, was like, your work ethic is everything. Absolutely everything. And then being a black man, you got to be twice as good as the white guy, right? You're always on stage. You always got to perform. You can never have a day off. You can never have a bad day, make a mistake. To an unhealthy point. We can talk about that later. But that was really my motivation, man. So all the times when I'm, you know, 12 and 13 and they're telling me, nah, we can't afford that. You can't do this. You can't do that. I'm like, well, I'm going to go get it myself. So it was really just that self-determination, bro. And I've carried that for a long time, carried that all through college and to start my own businesses to get to where I'm at now.
I kind of went through that, you know, like being young too, just want to be able to get stuff myself and not have to ask, not have to get told no or we can't, you know, like, so was that kind of like your motivation in the beginning, just being able to do stuff when you want it, spend your money how you want it, like?
As a kid, yeah, right?
Okay.
As a kid, it was that simple. It wasn't a chip on my shoulder at a young age. As I got older, it became, based on the decisions I made, it became there's some people I got to prove wrong. There's some things that I want to be, some things I want to present into the world. And again, not necessarily for the best, but that's what it became over time.
Some people you had to prove wrong. Like, do you feel like you had people that didn't believe in you or people that thought you was going to be like a fuck up or something? Or?
Yes, but not in the sense that you're alluded to. So as I was going through school, right, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was the first person in my family to go to college, right? So I had this like weight on my shoulders of, well, you're expected to be doctor, lawyer, like something of that caliber, right? And I really wasn't feeling it, but still, for all the wrong reasons, I went through all the way to the doctorate level in pharmacy just to get there and be like, man, this is not how I want to spend my life. It wasn't a matter of school, right? It wasn't a matter of like, oh, I don't enjoy school, so I can't do this. It was never that. We can always overcome something if we got to overcome something, right? Get through it for the long-term gain. But when I got there, I truly realized that wasn't what I wanted to do in my life and how I wanted to spend forever. So, man, I bowed out of that. And instead of actually becoming a pharmacist, after putting all that time in and all that money in, went and started a business. And that was, 8 years ago? Moved to Dallas and been blessed ever since.
So,
but with that, man, there's a lot of people that were like, man, my own dad was like, you're stupid. Like, you got a 6-figure career right here and you're going to walk away from it? Right. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to move to a whole new city and figure it out.
So you saying, I'm just trying to be clear, you said you finished college, got a career in the field that you
didn't never step foot in that field.
Never stepped foot in that field?
Nope.
So how you get a 6-figure job?
Yeah, I moved out to Dallas. Big sis was out there. She was the only person that I knew out there, and she gave me a place to stay, man. I remember we went to the grocery store, loaded the fridge up, and she was kind of like, hey, spread your wings and go from there. That was 8 years ago, man. Started a business in marketing. So always had always been creative. Right. I always had a knack for like understanding humans and why they do what they do. Okay. And more importantly, why they don't do what they do.
When you found this job in marketing, was it something that you already like? Was you already aware that you was good at marketing, or was it just like a job you got and you figured out like, damn, I'm good at this shit? Like,
no, so this was the company I started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just like off. Like, what made you do that? Like, just you went to school for something completely different. Like, what made you like? I'm finna just start a marketing company.
So again, it's just that understanding, bro. Like understanding people.
Right.
Because marketing is just understanding human psychology,
Right.
understanding why they do, why they don't. Really simply.
Right.
So with that foundational understanding, man, I was able to really help quite a few companies in different verticals grow. And that company, and not just me, I had a partner there. So we were able to grow that really quickly to $1 million business in the first year. And then from there, we realized, well, why are we marketing other companies if we can start our own companies, right? So we started starting our own companies and building those with the skills that we acquired. So we had a really nice thing going, and then COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, man, one of our clients actually offered me a job, and that was one of the healthcare clients that we had, which kind of full circle, right? Because I was studying to be a doctor in pharmacy anyway. And they had clinics, pharmacies. It's grown since then, but that's how it started. So I told him yes, came on in the marketing position, and then five years later, now I'm the chief of marketing for the whole system. So hospitals, pharmacies, clinics, whole nine. But really, man, that all started with just my own self-taught, my own discipline, my own stubbornness, and recognizing, hey, this was something that I didn't want to do, even though I was formally educated in it, and figuring out another way.
Did you know when you was going through college, like, did you know that you was good at marketing? Like, did you experiment with marketing, like doing some side jobs, you know what I'm saying, hustling your marketing abilities in college?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, remember, so without derailing the whole interview, we were making music before that too. And
Right.
had quite a bit of success in that.
Right.
So those skills were all in that same realm. And bro, I'm a nerd, man. You know, I read a whole lot. So I used to still read psychology, sociology, finance books for fun, just to understand, bro. So like it came natural.
Okay.
It's very easy for me to understand what it is somebody's buying. Because what somebody's buying is not the actual product.
Right.
It's either an emotion, a feeling, or some type of void.
We was just talking about this one.
So that's the understanding that you got to have, right? So I can pinpoint those things in those products and be able to pair the customer to what it is that they're looking for really well.
Like, you know, I did a little bit of, I did music and shit too, and I feel like that's what I excelled at the most, actually, marketing my music. That's what a lot of people wasn't doing. Like, I go to Atlanta, I have all my signs, and like all my flyers and stuff, go city to city, passing them out. Like, I learned a little bit about marketing from this lady, Strange Lady, shout out Strange Lady. And she was just telling me how many times people got to see before they go check into your story, before they buy into you. I think she told me they got to see you like 13 different times. So I didn't realize until when I was done rapping that I had a little bit of skill in marketing.
You had a lot of skill in marketing.
Okay, well, that's what got me asking you so many questions about marketing, because now I'm trying to see, like, how did you pursue your first client? Like, how did you convince them, like, you got a product that I know I can help you sell?
I think that first one,
is it this simple? Like, I got a product I know I can help you sell?
it's more they have a product that I know I can help them sell.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
They have a product.
Yes.
Like, you have a product. That's what I'm saying. Like, you the client that I'm pursuing, you have a product that I know.
Yep. So for me, it was, hey, I'm going to show you that I can do this for free.
Okay.
That's how I got started.
Okay.
Right? Hey, give me 2 weeks. How many clients are you looking to retain in 2 weeks? Okay. What does your typical client look like? Where do they live? Give me the data, right? And then we run from there. And I was successful 8 out of 10 times on those free stints. And it's a no-brainer. If somebody tells you, hey, I can for sure, for free, bring you however many plays you want on your new mixtape,
Right.
you would say no?
I might, because a lot of people say it and can't back it up.
But does it cost you anything?
the fact that you're doing it for free, hell yeah, I'm gonna try it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, why not? After a couple of those and it works, hey man, not only is that a crazy story, hey, this dude just came up to me and said he's gonna do this for free and he did it. You might want to give this guy a call. But it's a lock-in client for life. Because one, you were willing to be selfless enough to do something for them with no expectation of anything in return. And two, you actually did it. You know, people, like you just said, you know, people promise something and then don't come through on it.
Exactly.
Bro, in your space, how many people approach you with something that ever come through with what they say they're gonna?
Nah, it's a lot of people that approach me with shit. It's like, that don't come through what they can provide. And you got people that actually think that they could provide what they selling you. And if you got just a little bit of experience in what they trying to sell, you will know right off the bat that they can't. Like, so it's a very slim chance that somebody gonna sell you something and you gonna get exactly what they told you they was giving you. So if you was giving exactly what you said was giving, if you was giving exactly what you said you was gonna give for free, I can only imagine how powerful that was, and I can kind of understand why you at where you at. It's a saying that I picked up on a long time ago. I can't remember exactly who told me, but the saying was like, it's very simple. It was like, give it away to keep it.
I like that. I mean, that is what I learned in that, right? Because relationships are everything, right? If you can provide a value to somebody, you'll always have a job. That value is everything. I think a lot of people get caught up in, well, I did what I was told to do, I should get paid more for it. It's like, no, did you provide more value? Because if you did, then yes, you'll get paid more for it. That's how it works.
Okay. So let's talk about like the first type of, after you start doing stuff for free and you start, asking for your money because you prove what you could do. Like what was you charging in the beginning?
So we had it set up on like monthly retainers.
Okay.
Where they're paying us anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000 a month for the whole suite services based off of what they were expecting, right? So we knew what they expected, and they knew each month they were paying us a flat fee. So it worked well.
Okay.
It worked well in the sense of there was transparency and there were mutual expectations. Really, man, I think that could have continued and would have continued if it wasn't for COVID. I remember that day when they announced the state was shutting down.
Yeah.
Speaking of Texas, right? Man, literally phone call after phone call after phone call within a 2-hour span where I literally just watched every dollar just dwindle.
Okay.
Every dollar.
So right now, your first motivation was to just be able to do stuff on your own. You went to college, finished college, got a degree in something you didn't use.
Yep.
Gathered the market, gave some stuff away for free. Okay. And you
realized I'm damn good at this.
And you start bringing in jobs.
Yep. Started bringing in clients and then realized, why can't I do this for myself?
So you realize, when can I do this for myself? What was the first business that you created for yourself and ran all the marketing?
Yep. So I started a watch company, bro, which is probably the most difficult thing. Like actually manufacturing a product as your first business is not the best. I would not recommend that. Yeah.
I remember the watch.
Yeah, bro. I would not recommend manufacturing a product as your first business. Because man, I had to learn all about supply chain, manufacturing. We had to actually bring something to life. I got a patent. Yeah, it was a lot. I had to deal with investors and it was a huge undertaking. I didn't really realize what I was getting myself into with that one. That one didn't go that well.
Let's slow down just a little bit. Like,
yeah,
it's a saying to say, a loss ain't a loss. It's a lesson. This something you gotta adapt. Getting into business, you got to get used to failure. Sometimes you're gonna take losses. Sometimes you're gonna lose. But each and every single time, you should learn something. You should learn a way to not lose again, or lose a little bit less. Sometimes you lose a couple times before you finally get a W. But what do you think was the most valuable lesson that first loss taught you? The most valuable lesson?
I think the most valuable lesson is to treat every dollar as if it's yours. Every dollar. And that applies if it's a job, if it's your own money, if it's your company, whatever, right? Because if your company gets big enough, you're going to need to take on investors. And when you see that check, it's real easy to start making decisions because you're like, well, this ain't my money. Yes, it is. Because if it doesn't work, you don't make any more money.
All right, huh?
If you're in a position at a company where they're expecting you to deliver on something and you have to spend money to do that, if you don't treat that money like it's yours and you don't generate the result you need to generate, you're not making money, right? So you got to treat every single dollar that's involved in whatever is taking you to the next level as if it's yours, because it is.
Are y'all really paying attention to what he's saying? Because a lot of people, 2 people that I work with in particular, my camera crew, whatever we agree on, whatever agreement we make, they let me know what they want and they deliver exactly what they tell me they're going to deliver every single time. My guy DJ, whatever we got going on, whatever word that he gives me, he makes sure that he going to do what he said he going to do every single time. It don't matter if he got the money up front or on the back end. And I hate to say this, but a lot of people do business, and if you get your money in advance, it's like the work is it ain't as important to y'all no more. Y'all don't hold y'all word. Y'all slack, ask for a couple days later, get behind schedule, you know what I'm saying, and all this, and wonder why you can't keep business. Like, you gotta treat every dollar like it's yours, treat every sale like it's your first and last sale. Like, you gotta treat your business. That's why a lot of people say my business is my baby. You gotta treat it like a baby. You gotta take care of it if you want it to take care of you.
So JP, let me ask you this on that point, right? Because I think that comes back to relationships. Because if your mindset, tell me if I'm wrong, if your mindset is, well, I just want to make this $1,000 this week, okay, that's very small picture, very small mindset. So yeah, you're likely to fall behind. Yeah, maybe, well, I didn't get to it today. But if the mindset is, hey, what can we build long term? Do you think people behave differently in that situation?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would behave differently in that situation if they thought about taking care of business and their business taking care of them.
Yeah, because it can't just be one transaction.
They not
right?
even they not thinking about their business taking care of them. They just thinking about, like what you said, taking care of themselves for momentarily.
And I don't even blame everybody for it. Some people are almost wired to, right? Like, if you got to pay the bill that's due tomorrow, all you're worried about is paying the bill that's due tomorrow. But you got to do what it takes to get out of that situation, out of that mindset, to be able to look at the long term and everything that you do.
Because that bill coming again right after tomorrow.
Exactly.
It's coming.
It's due 30 days later.
Exactly.
So why not set yourself up for the long-term game to be able to multiply that shoebox money instead of just filling the box to empty it the next day?
So I love the fact that you just said shoebox money, because it brings me back to the name of the podcast.
You read the book, right?
Yeah. Shoebox money. It's coming soon.
I'm excited for it, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little nervous. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm very, very, very excited. I feel like it's gonna help a lot of people.
So tell me more about the book. So I know you and I have rapped on it, but what's the goal? Like, what do you want people to get out of it? What's your motivation for writing it?
My motivation for writing it is just knowing that I feel like I would be a lot further in life if somebody just gave me some knowledge, gave me some information, pointed me in the right direction. And that's what this book about. I don't know everything. That's why I'm bringing people like you on, Mad Paper on. So my book right now is to just point people in the right direction, get them started. It's not too complex. It's easy to understand. Like, I put it in a context that I could understand, and my daughter, you know what I'm saying, could understand. But it's extremely helpful. It's not that long. It's only 40 pages long, but we touch on a lot of key points. We touch on what it takes to be successful, like at the core.
All right, so let's talk about that. What are some of the things that it takes to be successful? What are some of the things in the book that we can kind of go back and forth on?
Dedication.
Okay.
Hard work. Relationships.
Everything.
Discipline. Where you want to start?
Let's start with relationships, since we already kind of touched on that.
Okay.
Let's talk about the importance of relationships.
Like, relationships extremely important. Money extremely important. So in relationships, more important than money. So this is just the basis of how important relationships is. But you're not gonna know everything. You're not gonna be able to do everything by yourself. You never know when you're gonna need somebody again. And if somebody needs you, sometimes people needing you come with money. You never know when somebody needs you again. So you want to be a reputable person. So you want to have a very good reputation, and having a good reputation for doing business is how you build great business relationships. Like, relationships extremely important because this my man's like DJ, like this my man's. I'm kind of still, I'm kind of still rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in the learning, you know what I'm saying, process. But my guy, he fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? He see something in me. It's certain things. It's certain things that he knows. It's certain knowledge that he know. It's very simple to him, but it's life changing to me. I give y'all an example. This in a book, but I'm gonna give y'all this for free. That's it. I'm gonna give y'all an example. I say, what was it, bro? About 3. How long ago was it when you tried to get me to invest in the Bitcoin?
I knew that's where you were going.
How long was it?
That was like 4 years ago. You know, we've known each other for 18 years, speaking of relationships.
I do.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known this guy for quite some time. But yeah, that was like 4 years ago, and you didn't want to listen. Well, you did.
I did listen.
But then you did.
I listened, though. But we just talked about, I ain't trying to like go back and forth, but we just talked about a loss not being a loss. You know what I'm saying? It was a lesson. So DJ convinced me to invest in the Bitcoin. He sent me a book to download, Bitcoin, Hard Money You Can't Fuck With. I began to read it. After I began to read it, he didn't just tell me to put the money into Bitcoin. I didn't meet DJ. We didn't link back up for he could teach me how to invest my money. There's not, but there was a byproduct of our relationship. So he tell me to invest $5,000 in the Bitcoin. Well, he didn't tell me how much to invest. I said I got like $5,000 laying around. Like, where should I put it? And he said, put it in the Bitcoin. He was like, before you do, read this book. He sent me the book. I read the book. I read another. So you know what? I'm putting my $5,000 in Bitcoin. But what he also told me was, and I understand it now that I'm actively doing it. What he also told me was, if I remember correctly, I told you kind of like treat Bitcoin like my shoebox.
Yep.
And treat Bitcoin more like a savings account versus something you just dumping money into and trying to like put money in there that you can forget about. Because what I see now that I'm doing it the way that he originally told me is, today Bitcoin might be 101,000, and I might get $100 worth of Bitcoin at 101,000. Tomorrow it might be 95,000, and I get $100 of Bitcoin at 95,000. The market gonna fluctuate. It's gonna go up and down. I didn't understand it then. Like your money gonna kind of always balance out. And when Bitcoin do something big, get hit, it make a lot more sense to me. I can't even necessarily put it all the way in the words, but I think I'm starting to understand it now that I'm doing it the way that he originally told me. But I put $5,000 in there, and Bitcoin started going down. It went down to like 4,600. And I was selling a lot of shoes at the time, so I was just real big on always having capital. And I'm like, man, DJ, I'm how you take this shit out, man? How you take this money out of Bitcoin? Man, she was at 5,000, now I say 4,600. Like, I ain't used to it because it happened. It happened kind of fast. I think it happened in like the first week or something. It went from 5,000 to 4,600.
Yep.
But what I realize now is, say I put $5,000 in there and I kept investing how he told me to invest. As the market was dropping, I would have been putting $100 in there, so I would have been getting it as the market was dropping. Am I right?
Yep. I mean, just on that investment, had you just let it sit and done nothing else?
Yeah, I probably would have turned
6 times.
6 times?
Yeah, 6 times higher than what it was at that point.
It would have been $5,000 that turned into $30,000.
Yep.
And if I would have kept putting it, like this was 2 years ago, like I was making 4 years ago?
Yep. About 4 years ago.
4 years ago, I was making more than enough money. And DJ know this. I'm not saying I was rich enough, but I was making more than enough money to put $100 in there every single day. Had I left my initial investment in there and put $100 in there every single day, like how he told me.
6 figures easy.
Yeah. Easy. Like, probably not the low 6 figures.
No.
Yeah. Probably not the low 6 figures. But I don't feel like I lost nothing. I gained a lot, you know what I'm saying? Because I learned a valuable lesson, even though I had to hit my head and learn it the hard way.
So is there a chapter on patience? Because that's the lesson here too.
Is there a chapter? That's not a chapter on patience.
All right, so let's chat on patience then, because when it comes to your money, right? when you're investing money, there's not a whole, I know there's a lot of YouTube videos and TikToks and everything else to tell you how to get rich quick. That shit doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't. But there are tried and true methods to get rich over time. You just got to be patient. You got to put that money in, invest it, let it make that 7% and compound year after year after year. And suddenly your 50 grand is a couple million real quick.
You're right.
Power of compounding interest is insane. It's probably one of the most powerful forces in the world. If you're not familiar with compound interest, Google that right now or ChatGPT or whatever. But look that up.
On ChatGPT
Right
or
now.
whatever, huh? So
Look that up.
So with like what we was talking about is relationships, and like this is probably one of the most important relationships, you know what I'm saying, that I done built. Like I'm learning a lot, learning what to do with my money, you know what I'm saying? Where to put, I know like kind of where to put my money, how to make my money work for me, but I'm learning. I'm learning more ways. I'm learning this. A lot of the ways that invest my money is like I gotta see it physically, and it almost becomes me just having a bunch of ways that I'm creating active income. You know what I'm saying? And I realized that like I could really make money in my sleep. And so you gotta make money in your sleep in order to be wealthy. Like it don't matter how many side businesses that I create. You hire workers, they never. You just gonna never. You gonna always feel like you gotta be there. I'm not gonna say you gonna never have good workers, but you always gonna you gonna be running around. You're gonna be running around, and I felt like he having this relationship, like gave me some game that one day I don't have to do so much running around, and like this valuable to me.
Bro, so speaking of running around,
Right.
we've talked about this in the past. You know, I went back to the 9 to 5 after owning businesses.
Right.
Most people don't understand that either.
Right.
But the thing that I think is super important for people, especially if you're watching this podcast, to understand is that there's a lot of opportunity for financial freedom. But when you start that business, when you run with that idea, whatever it is, you're creating a job before you create a business. And that job you create, you're probably going to be working 100 hours plus a week. At least. And there's a lot of people in this room right now that can attest to that. There's a lot of self-starters in here. Bro, those 120-hour weeks, and I'm speaking for me at least, that was no joke. No joke. And it was worth every second. But it got to a point where, man, that 40-hour work week sounded like a vacation.
And owning your own business, it could be really mentally draining too. Like you go to work, you're doing the same thing that you're doing every day. You don't really gotta think. This you gotta be constantly working. You gotta constantly be creative. Like you gotta be working physically. Your body, your mind gotta always be working. Like you working everything. Like you're right. It's extremely hard, but it can be extremely worth it too.
Yeah, you got to find something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You have to. Like, that's the only way.
That's the only way it's
to
gonna
make
feel like
sense.
it's worth it, right?
Yeah, if you jump onto one of these, oh, somebody this is what I saw on TikTok, somebody got rich doing this, I'm going to do that. If you're not passionate about it, after a couple weeks of 100 hours, man, you're not going to continue doing that.
But when you're doing what you love to do, that 100 hours, it don't even feel like work.
Until it's been a couple of years and you're not where you thought you were going to be, and then you're like, why did I do this? Well, at least for me.
Yeah, you start thinking about where you was and it could have been, but.
It's like, damn, man, being a pharmacist might not have been so bad.
So how I feel a couple years after that, after you had doubts and kept going.
You got to keep going. You just have to keep pushing through it. I think that is the thing that separates.
Do you regret it now?
Regret what?
Like, I should have just been a pharmacist. Wouldn't have been so bad.
No.
Okay.
Hell no. No, sir. Nah. No, I would have done it all again. I would run the 120-hour weeks back in a heartbeat before I go do that, just because I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
But I think it's that mindset that separates the quote-unquote successful, whatever you define success as, from those that stay stagnant. It's the willingness to do something and not getting the result that you necessarily want over and over and over again until you do. Most people don't have that willingness to continue doing that.
Exactly. And I still want to go back to shoebox money because I kind of want to break down.
Let's do it.
How you did shoebox money in your way. I like to say, in order with the shoeboxes, you gotta have a pump. Your pump is your way that your money is continuously coming in? How you actively making money every single day? My guy DJ, his pump was his marketing business, right?
Yep.
When you was putting the money in your shoebox from the marketing business, where were you taking that money and putting it?
Yep. So
What was your investing shoebox?
great question. So I had a physical shoebox back in high school. I mentioned those two, jobs from 14.
Yeah.
I would come home. So one was a busboy and the other one was a bagger at a grocery store. So most of my wages were tips.
Winn-Dixie?
Close. It was called Apple Market, bro. It was like small, one of the only places that would hire 14-year-olds.
There's a grocery store. I stayed in Pensacola for like a year or two. Pensacola, Florida. It's a grocery store in Pensacola. Yeah.
I don't even know if that's still there.
It might be gone.
I don't know. But yeah, Winn-Dixie was right up the street from
my first
where
job
we
was
used to stay.
Whataburger.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember that.
Yeah.
But so I had my shoebox and I would come home and put my little cash tips in there and I just saved it. And very similar to Mad Paper, I mean, I wasn't a Range Rover by no means, but I bought my first whip.
You bought your first whip?
Yeah, off of that. And then I was making some music too, man. And that kind of sparked the whole creativity and initial like need for marketing. But to your question, I was taking that money and I was buying real estate with it.
Okay. At what age were you doing this?
This was, I think I bought my first property at 25.
Do you remember how much your first property was?
Yep. I had to I put like 5% down. Interest rates were super low. And it was $100,000 property. So I think I paid like, I think I was all in for like 18 grand.
Okay.
And then I took that and turned it into an Airbnb. And I was making profit, not revenue, profit, like $2 grand a month off that one unit. And then from there, I was like, I need as many units as possible. So literally, bro, every dollar that I made, even the revenue from that Airbnb, went straight back into my hypothetical shoebox. And I took all that and I bought another property and bought another. I think I bought 3 properties that year. And it wasn't because I was balling. It wasn't like that. I was just taking every single dollar and buying property that I wasn't even living in. My whole goal was to make as much money that I didn't have to physically act for as possible.
So listen, he took his shoebox money, he invested into Airbnbs, and then he bought an Airbnb, seen that it was bringing him $2,000 a month of passive income, and he repeated the process. He took 1, he turned it into 10, and he did it again, and he's still actively doing it, right?
Yeah, and that's that patience though, right? Because I very easily could have been like, all right, well, this is good. Now I got to pay myself, or now I need to buy myself a house. And I was like, no. Let me continue to add these revenue streams while the opportunity exists, and then I'll take care of me later. But that's a very hard mindset, especially when you start to see the money come in, because then you're like, man, I should treat myself to this. I need to do that. Other person's got this. Maybe I need to go buy. Like, no, you got to stay patient and stay dedicated to what it is that you started and keep it going, knowing that you're going to get the reward on the back end. But that delayed gratification is everything, but it's hard.
That's where your that's a whole other that's a whole nother section of discipline, because you got to be disciplined just to even get to that point. Then when you get to that point, you got to maintain discipline. It's like you got to learn discipline all over again, because now you're dealing with something that
there's no point at which you don't need discipline.
You like, and the more money you start to make, the more discipline you need.
Yep. Kyle, I was watching one of the prior podcasts y'all shot, and you were talking about, when do you feel like you made it?
Right.
I hate to say this, but you never make it. Like, there is no make it. You just constantly have to reinvent how you do things.
You're right.
And eventually it gets to a point of you got to protect what you've already earned. And it goes from how much more can I gain to how do I not lose what I gain?
Exactly.
But there's never a point where you're like, all right, I'm good. That doesn't exist. I hope. Sorry, it just doesn't. That's the reality of it.
It's 100%.
It's a constant hustle.
It's 100% the truth, man. It's 100% the truth. Like everybody around me right now, we all still hustling. Like we still hustling. We have all seen each other elevation, and we all seen each other growth. One thing we all got in common is we still hustling. We still grinding. And there's something else you got to understand when you want to go into self-employment, having your own business. Being successful, it ain't even necessarily got to be, have your own business, but just being successful whatever dreams, like the grind don't stop.
So JP, how do you sustain that? How do you stay determined and keep going? Like you said, you like to bang your head against the wall. How do you keep banging your head against the wall once you're dizzy? How do you keep going?
I take a punch, man, but I keep going because the one win feel better than the 100 losses.
Then how come most people get that one loss and that's it? What's the difference? What makes you different? What's that motivation?
It's almost spiritual.
Okay.
It's almost spiritual. From the time I was 18 from the minute I turned 18 until I was 26, I spent half of my life in jail. But what I learned from myself at that time, no matter good or bad, whatever I put my mind to and tried to succeed at, whether it was hustling. At one point I was pimping, like I ain't ashamed to say that everybody from Memphis know me and know that about me. At one point it was that, but everything that I tried to do, I was successful at, and I did it at a very high level. The last time I went to jail, I went for 3 years. When I was little, every time I got on punishment, my mama used to let me read. That's when I really discovered how much, I love to read. Me being in jail them 3 years, I just knew I never wanted to do that. I never wanted to be in that situation again. I made up my mind, like I'm through with this. I can't, I can't give back. I can't keep giving them my time. Like I gotta give my kids, I gotta give my family my time, I gotta make some of myself. But I still didn't know how to go about it because I didn't. I ain't have a friend like you. All my friends was, I'm talking about the type of friend you are to me now, type of information, I ain't have a friend like Mad Paper. I ain't have friends like Painfully Gifted. All my friends, everybody that I was influenced by was, in the streets in one way or another. So when I went to jail for them 3 years, I knew I wanted to be better. And I didn't really know how to go about doing it. And I just remember all the books, that my mom used to make me read when I was on punishment. I read a lot in jail, but I was reading entertainment, but I was still reading entertainment books. The first book I picked up was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he got like this little he got like a little graph in there where it kind of break down assets and liabilities. And I started realizing that a lot of the businesses that I was in, I kind of already understood, assets and liabilities. I just applying everything the completely wrong way. So I started thinking, like, I gotta change myself. How can I do this? So I came home, and I guess it on the right track. But like I said, it's almost spiritual, like the way, like why I believe, in me, the way that I do, because everything that I ever tried to do, I succeeded at it.
All right, so let's go deeper, because that's something that we have in common, despite having different backgrounds in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So we grew up very differently. Yeah, we ended up at the same mindset.
Right.
Like nobody can tell me that I can't do anything.
Exactly.
Because I've done it, right?
Exactly.
And anything I've ever tried to do, I figured it out. That's not a brag. It's a track record.
Right.
You've done the same thing.
Right.
And I think that's why we have a lot of mutual respect for one another. Right. How do we get to that same result? Like what is that mindset? Is there a word for it? Like how do you teach somebody else that? Because we got to the same result and the same ability different ways. How does that happen?
I think I almost look at everything like they call everything a game, videography game, real estate game. At the NBA, you got the NFL. Like, I don't know. I just think life is a game.
Yep.
I always been a winner. Every game I played at the highest level.
But why?
I got the drive and the desire to win.
So it's the drive. That's the mindset that I'm gonna keep getting hit and keep going, no matter what happens, win, loss, I'm going to get back on the field. We're going to keep playing.
I'm gonna keep playing.
That's it. So you think that's what sets you apart from everyone else?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Most people, like they like losing, failed, and like I ain't gonna lie. This should have knocked the spunk out of you, especially when you believed in yourself so much. You had all this confidence and like everything go wrong. But I got it right before, even when I was doing the wrong shit. I know I can get it right again. I know I can get it right doing the right shit. When I used to bump my head, you asked me like being dizzy and shit. When I used to bump my head, this shit used to land me in jail. Now when I bump my head, I learn to listen.
Amen.
Life conditioned me to where the bump in my head don't hurt so bad. That motherfucker still.
I can hear it.
Yeah. I want to ask you the same question you asked me, like, how do you keep going? How do you sustain after taking losses and fail? Like, what keeps you going outside of, like, even if you didn't have, if you didn't have a wife, if you didn't have, like, parents that you want to make proud to try to provide for us, like, what do you think would still push you? I want, like, what do you think would still push you to, like, keep going after?
For sure. I mean, when I started, it was, getting away from the lifestyle that I thought I didn't want, being a pharmacist, because that shit just sounded boring and terrible. And then it became a pursuit of money, right? Once you start making money, then you're like, damn, how much money can I make? I'm gonna be the richest person on earth. And I got this story of like, I had this yellow Lamborghini Hot Wheels car, and I kept it on my desk, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy this car one day. And then you get to a point where you're like, that is really silly. Like, that for what? So I think you got to figure out your why individually. For me, I wanted to make sure that I had everything situated to be a great dad at some point. Like, that's what I've always wanted to do, because I feel like as a Christian, like, if I could be a great dad, that puts me in the position to be what I think I'm called to be, right? By the big man upstairs. So that was my motivation, man. How do I get to be a great dad in my eyes? And if I can do that, then I'm doing the right things. So that's my motivation for the kid I don't even have yet.
So you feel like that's your main purpose, to be a great dad.
I mean, to be a light in general, right? But I think that's like if I had to sum it up in a real tight, well-wrapped box, is being a great dad, because everything else stems from that, right? Because I feel like if you're a great dad, you're probably a genuine person. You're probably, doing the right things in the eye of the Lord. Probably, being respectful of the people around you. Probably mentoring others that are not your kids, right? Like, I think that is a very concise way of saying or visualizing who I want to be. That's my motivation.
Okay. Good answer.
But the thing, I think for others, I think they got to figure out what that is. And it's got to burn so hot inside them that it's enough for them to keep going when there's no gas in the car, when they don't know how they're going to make the ends meet, when they've tried the same thing 50 times and it hasn't worked. How do you do it 51 times? Like, you got to keep going. You got to find that one thing that's important enough to keep you doing that.
And that's why, for me, it's, completely honest, the desire to win, because I know my heart, and everybody around me know my heart. If I win,
and everybody wins around you,
and everybody around me wins. So
that's one thing. I even just being in Memphis for this little bit of time, man. Like, everybody around you, everybody wants to see you win. Everybody. There's no, and that's rare. And that says a lot about you.
I appreciate that. Like, before we end this interview, I want to ask you, like, for anybody that's trying to pursue their dreams, be successful, be an entrepreneur, whatever it is that they want to do, what advice would you give them?
Man, I would say, one, I know this is the Shoebox Money podcast, but don't get that confused with starting a business and being an entrepreneur. And not everybody's supposed to own their own stuff. Just because you're a great barber, saying you in the global form of the word you, sorry barbers out there, that doesn't mean you need to own your own shop, because you might not know anything about finance or marketing or anything else. You might need to get the other people around you to build out that product, right? Stay in your lane, do what you do well, but get out of your comfort zone. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to go and start a business. That may not be what's best for you. You might need to go back to school. That might be what's best for you. Or maybe you need to really dedicate yourself to your job and excel instead of complaining about it and doing the bare minimum and wondering why you're not getting promoted, right? You got to really put the onus on you to get what you want out of life. And you're only going to get that by putting in maximum effort into everything that you do, regardless of what it is. I know that sounds cliche, and maybe it's the Nike boxes all around this room that are influencing me, but you got to just do it, bro. Like, you really do. Like, you got to start somewhere.
I feel like you're 100% right. Everybody shouldn't own a business or try to run a business.
But everybody's got to take care of their money. You can't just go blow everything you make. You got to have a shoebox, and you got to apply.
Everybody should be investing. But you're right. I'm telling you, it's a lot of people with good jobs that live a lot less stressful life than me. And they invest their money properly. And I'm telling you, will see people with good jobs that end up in places that you're trying to get, like, before you, because they taking advantage. You know what I'm saying? They taking advantage of the money that they making, and they managing it properly, putting it in the right places, or got somebody that's giving them advice on how to put it in the right places. But you're right. Everybody shouldn't be owning a business, but everybody should be investing to try to secure their future.
So can I give one piece of practical advice? I know we had flagged, I think we're way over time.
Right.
People matters. Real quick. So everybody does need to be investing. So speaking for my wife and I, hopefully this is a piece of practical information that somebody can utilize. We invest first. So all of our accounts are set up automatically, right? We get our checks on the 1st and 15th. On the 1st, all of our money automatically goes to our retirement accounts, our stock, our crypto, our real estate, whatever else, the mortgage. And then I get a little bit in my account, she gets a little bit in her account, and we live off of that. But everything else is taken care of. We invest first. I would highly recommend prioritizing investment the same way you prioritize anything else.
And your wife, she's working.
Yep.
And your business owner.
And working.
Yep. And she's still actively investing, just working.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Highly important. Yeah. And find somebody that, is on the same page as you too. You got to have the same goals. That's important.
Well, man, that was another great interview, bro. I appreciate you for coming through. My boy came here all the way from Dallas.
Thank you, brother.
Show some love.
Always a pleasure working with you, brother.
Hopefully y'all learned something for this interview. Keep tapping in. We coming week after week with new game, different guests, different walks of life. Just to try to, you can do whatever you want to do. And that's what my podcast is all about. We bringing people on here that's doing what they want to do, trying to, pursuing a better life. So stay tapped in, tune in.
And go get this book.
Get the shoe campaign book.
Get the book and get the work.
Get the shoe campaign book. It's going to be great.